Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning. This is Dr. Mark Snow with the Head, Neck, and Back Pain Relief Center of West Valley in West Valley City, Utah. Chiropractic physician, author of the book Sick World, A Story of Modern-Day Slavery, which is available at sickworld.net. So today we have quite a bit we're going to go over. We're going to talk about the incredible shrinking brain today. We'll also be talking about some health alerts, some good nutrition information, as well as exercise and pain relief. So before we get into our program, let's listen to a word from our sponsor.
Auto accident? Contact the Utah Whiplash Group, certified specialist physicians, attorneys, and massage therapists. UtahWhiplash.com.
So the incredible shrinking brain. This is an interesting study out of the Journal of Neuroscience, June 2014. And this is not new information, so to speak, but it's information that we need to have. Before we get into this, let me remind you our call-in number, 646-716-5217, 646-716-5217. A new animal study indicates memory loss can result from the shrinking and disappearance of brain synapses. The synapses are the connections between nerve cells or neurons in the brain, which is due to repeated long-term cortisol exposure. Now, cortisol is a hormone that's released during periods of stress. The researchers found that the older rats with low cortisol levels exhibited little memory loss and performed in a maze almost as well as the younger rats. However, older rats with high cortisol levels demonstrated an impaired ability to navigate the maze. So, let me remind you that cortisol is released also, so chronic pain conditions can lead to the same loss of synapses as chronic stress conditions. Dr. Jason Radley adds, stress hormones are one mechanism that we believe leads to weathering of the brain. Like a rock on a shoreline. After years and years, it will eventually break down and disappear. Well, chronic pain can do the same thing. As also can chronic long-term use of steroids for pain management can lead to decreases in synaptic connections, can break down the brain and lead to memory loss, cognitive impairment. The incredible shrinking brain is a real thing. Now, another thing to remember, which was brought to me, I was reminded by a friend of mine just this morning that as the brain shrinks, the cavity in which the brain sits does not shrink. So the skull remains the same size. So as that brain shrinks, there's more room for it to be jostled around and moved around. And so minor traumas, what would appear to be minor traumas, can lead to severe injury to the brain because of the fact that there's more room for it to move around and get damaged against the skull, the bony structure of the skull. Here's a health alert. Talking about our health system in the United States, this is out of the Commonwealth Fund, June 2014. The most expensive health system in the world, right here in the United States, the most expensive. And you would think the best. However, a performance analysis by the Commonwealth Fund has found that the healthcare system in the United States ranked out of 11 other countries. Out of 11 other countries, you would think the most expensive is going to be top of the line. At the very worst, second or third. The U.S. healthcare system out of 11 other countries ranked dead last. Dead last. That's shocking. Here's some information on diet. This is Advantage Care Physicians, June 2014, talking about eating healthy and how summer is the perfect time to do it. Catherine Farrell Harris, Director of Integrated Nutrition for Advantage Care Physicians, writes, I always tell patients that if they are outside in the fresh air, they should be consuming foods that are fresh and found in nature, like vegetables, fruits, seeds, nuts, legumes, and water, instead of processed foods created in labs and factories. I love that visual that gives you. Foods created in labs and factories. Instead of out of the garden, beans, cantaloupe, honeydew melon, sweet corn, cucumber, eggplant, peppers, sweet potatoes, and watermelon. Lots of wonderful, good, healthy foods full of life and giving life to us. Now, how much exercise do you need? And are you monitoring your exercise correctly? I'm going to go into that next. Before we do, I want to remind you of our call-in number, 646-716-5217. That's 646-716-5217. If you have any questions, comments, you want to interact a little bit on the air, feel free to call in. If you would rather not, and you do have questions for me, you can email those questions to me at drsnow@utahpainreliefcenter.com, DRSNOW @utahpainreliefcenter.com. You know, you can also listen to these programs. I post them on my Facebook page as an MP3. I also put them out as podcasts. So if you want to listen to them later on, you can do that. The Facebook page to go to for that would be facebook.com/WV as in Victor, F as in Frank, C Relief. That's facebook.com/WVFC Relief. So exercise. This is out of the Public Library of Science, June 2014, stating that the majority of us are exercise intensity. In a recent study, participants were asked to walk or jog on a treadmill at a pace they felt was light, moderate, and vigorous intensity. The researchers found that participants overestimated the intensity of their walk or jog. So in other words, when they thought they were doing heavy exercise, they were really doing moderate. When they thought they were doing moderate, they were really doing light. According to global physical activity guidelines, for an adult to achieve a moderate intensity, their heart rate should be within the range of 64 to 76% of their maximum heart rate. Well, that doesn't tell us much, does it? Unless you know your maximum heart rate. So to calculate your maximum heart rate, take the number 240 and subtract from that your age. So 240 minus your age. So if you're 40 years old, then 240 minus your age would be 200. And so for moderate intensity exercise, you need to be between 64 and 76% of that. So 200 times 0.64, so at least your heart rate needs to be at least 128 beats per minute for moderate intensity exercise. Vigorous intensity exercise is 77 to 83%. So if you're 40 years old, your heart rate needs to be at least 154 beats per minute to be at heavy intensity or vigorous intensity exercise. Study author Jennifer Cook adds, and Cook is spelled K-U-K. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it properly. Our study's findings suggest that the majority of young and middle-aged to old adults underestimate the intensity of physical activity that is required to achieve health benefits. This is worrisome both for personal and public health and well-being. Now I want to key in on the term health benefits, because she may be talking about cardiovascular health, she may be talking about prevention of obesity, but there are other benefits. I want to take you to another study. This is out of Northwestern University, April 2014. How would you like grocery shopping for exercise? New information regarding disability prevention indicates that even light physical activities such as grocery shopping and vacuuming can help at-risk individuals avoid mobility-limiting issues like knee arthritis. Now remember, I talked recently about walking 6,000 steps per day to reduce arthritis of the knee, to reduce the effects of that. So here we're talking about grocery shopping and vacuuming, low-intensity activities to help prevent mobility limiting issues. That, to me, is a health benefit. It may not be the health benefit that this other study was talking about, but it is nonetheless a health benefit. So let's be specific as to what our goals are. Understand that if we're wanting to build cardiovascular health, we're wanting to build stamina, we need to understand what we need to do in terms of intensity of exercise and heart rate and where to get it. But if we're trying to decrease mobility limiting problems or issues, then some light exercise, less vigorous exercise, walking, things like that, we're going to have some health benefit from. Now, can chiropractors treat pregnant women? This is something that I get asked all the time because, we see these women who are pregnant and we think they're fragile. We need to be careful, handle them gently, maybe put a stamp on their forehead that says fragile, this end up. Anyway, chiropractors can treat pregnant women. This is out of Canadian Family Physicians, August 2013. In a question and answer section of the journal Canadian Family Physician, a physician asked, what is known about chiropractic for low back pain during pregnancy? The journal's response stated that evidence attests to the effectiveness and safety of treating musculoskeletal pain with chiropractic care. Spinal manipulation is a highly safe and effective evidence-based option for women during pregnancy who are suffering from low back and pelvic pain. And so how far into pregnancy can a woman be adjusted by a chiropractor? And the answer is they can be adjusted all the way through their pregnancy, right up to and even during labor. Take adjustments, very safe for pregnant women, very effective for helping to relieve back pain, which is common and almost expected with pregnancy. So we have time for just a little bit more. We're going to talk about depression a little bit. Is depression a broken heart? Well, it may lead to a broken heart. Women under age 55, this is out of the American Heart Association, June 2014. Women under age 55 are 2 times more likely to suffer from cardiac problems if they have moderate or severe depression. Senior study author Dr. Viola Vaccarino, again that's spelled Vaccarino, I probably am not pronouncing it properly, explains that all people, quote, all people, and especially younger women, need to take depression very seriously. Depression itself is a reason to take action, but knowing that it is associated with an increased risk of heart disease and health should motivate people to seek help, end of quote. So depression may very well lead to a broken heart. Well, in our closing today, I want to remind you that this is Dr. Mark Snow with the Head, Neck, and Back Pain Relief Center of West Valley in West Valley City, Utah, chiropractic physician, author of the book Sick World, A Story of Modern-Day Slavery. Remind you that book is available at sickworld.net. Our closing quote today comes from Winston Churchill, who said, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." Have a wonderful day. Thank you for being with me.